Close your eyes. Go back to that day. What do you see? Rioters rampaging. What else do you see? A mob breaking windows.
Bricks right here! Bricks right here!
Kicking in doors, breaching the Capitol, American flags on poles being used as weapons, as spears, fire extinguishers being thrown at the heads of police officers. We all heard the police officers who were there that day testify to what happened.
They were tearing pieces of plywood off to expose the windows, and it got to the point where they were, throwing burning material into the lobby through gaps in the windows and blowing marijuana smoke, and it was almost like a scene out of a horror movie. They had removed all of the plywood. They had disabled all of the exterior cameras. That they started coming at the windows with hammers. They had removed some 2x4 lumber, and they were smashing at the windows of the precinct in what I believed was a really sincere effort to get inside. By words and actions that we had already seen, their intent was to harm us and to essentially burn down the building. I have seen calls throughout the last couple months that have held for, a day because there's just nobody to go. And particularly on a night where, we already have limited resources to begin with, and then we pull several officers off of the street away from patrol to deal with a crowd that essentially wants to burn down the building with, the jail and civilian staff and all kinds of civilian people in it. It just completely decimates our resources. While we were standing on line for hours, our officers were subject to some of the most horrific displays of hate that I've ever seen in my life. In particular, I had 2 female officers on my squad, and the crowd seemed to really key in on them, along with the women that were on RRT. And they were just saying some of the most vile things to them, talking about sexually assaulting them, talking about how they were, sex objects for all the other officers, on the squad. And even going as far as to say that there was one individual who said that he was going to take the baton from one of the female officers and sexually abuse her with it. In addition to all this, we, along with the board-up crew, were taking, large rocks, bottles filled with who knows what, all kinds of objects being thrown from the crowd, and this went on for hours.
This wasn't a group of tourists. This was an armed insurrection. They weren't looking to uphold the will of the people. They were looking to deny the will of the people. They weren't looking to uphold a free and fair election. They were looking to overturn one.
Ignoring votes means ignoring democracy itself. And if we ignore the votes of thousands in Florida in this election, how can you, or any American, have confidence that your vote will not be ignored in a future election?